Hello everyone, Justin here, and I've got another pencil shading video for you. This time we've got Bumblebee's head, and we got to this point using a pen and without really any shading, so that's what we're going to do today. So we're going to shade this to make it look more three-dimensional, give it more form. And I just started here by putting some midtones on these things that kind of stick out of his head. I'm gonna plan on the light coming from the upper left, and so for certain areas we'll try to keep the upper left a little bit lighter, or the color of the pencil, color of the paper, to show that that's our highlight, and the lower right areas will be darker, as you can see here what I'm doing, and just continue on. So this section, this left upper area, will be light, so let's just keep that untouched by our pencil and go ahead and add our midtones right here. Okay, just like that, and same thing here, except it'll just be on the upper section here that will leave light. So continuing on, put our midtones. And I know this part's going to be darker, so I'm already adding a little bit of pencil pressure to make it darker, and I'll go over it some more using my softer lead pencil to make this area darker. But let's go ahead and add some darker tones right here in the bottom right with our pencil. So just adding another layer of pencil marks will make that area darker. Same with here. So the lower right section, we'll go over it again and then lighten up the pressure as we go to the left and upper part to get a nice gradient. Okay, so this part is going to be darker, so let's just go ahead and make it darker. Okay, and just to show you what I'm talking about with making this area darker with a softer lead, this is a 4B lead, and using lighter pressure than earlier, you can see how it's a lot darker already, but adding even more pressure then will result in even darker tones. So this gives it a nice contrast, and you get a nice difference between the lightest lights, which is the color of the pencil, color of the paper, to the darkest darks. The contrast really helps the drawing pop out more. So here I'm going to add some more dark tones, and kind of doing this right here like a line just on the edge kind of makes it look a little bit shinier. So let's go back here. So let's just make this area a little bit lighter. Let's say this is a lighter color. I'm not sure what the color scheme is for Bumblebee's head, but let's just make it a little bit lighter shade, but still give it a three-dimensional quality. So we'll go ahead and make this lower part a little bit darker, and the right side of this area here, same with this part. So let's just make this part, the edge, a little bit darker here, and just give this a little bit of a tone, and we could even use our pencil. Okay, I'm just going to work on improving the gradient a little bit, make it a little bit smoother here. Okay, so let's look at this part. This area is going to get a lot of light. Let's leave that kind of light, but this part will be away from the light. We're going to make this darker. So let's go ahead and make that dark, a little bit of pressure, and this area as well. Now I'm only darkening this more because it's kind of receding behind his eyeball. Same with this part here. So let's add a little bit of color to where these vents are, just to show there's a little bit of a difference in the segments of his head. But now we'll have to add a little bit of shading right here as well, here as well, the lower right, and this part's gonna taken will be more in shadow than this. So let's go ahead and make this whole thing a little bit darker. Maybe leave the upper left a little bit lighter, and I'm adding more pressure here at this point to make this a little bit darker. And of course this part's going to be way in shadow, so let's just make that dark. Okay, let's go back to here. So again, this part up here is under the eye, so let's just make that darker. And same with here. Okay, so to give this more form right here, let's make this lower part darker, give it a little bit darker tone. And same here, keeping the upper part a little bit lighter. And this part is farther away from the light than this, so we're going to make this area darker still. And I'll go a different direction just to get a little bit darker tones. And here you can really do whatever you want as far as where you add darker tones or not. I'm not exactly sure which segments here are more forward than others, so I'm just going to add some tones here. Alright, so here I'm going to make this inner oval a little bit darker where the vents are, and then add some tone underneath here. I'm going to keep this light to show that it's catching some light, and darker here. And this part of course is going to be in shadow, so I'm going to darken that area and give this part more form by darkening the right side and lower right side. This part's going to catch light, keep that light, and this part looks like it's receding, so I'll put that in shadow. And same here, this part's going to be in shadow. And that's pretty much it. I'm not going to do too much more. Maybe let's go ahead and make this a little bit more three-dimensional by adding more shadow here on the lower right of the eye. And we'll stop there. Thanks a lot for watching, and please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Check out my other video to see how we got to this point using a pen. And you can either use a pen just like I had done here and then continue the shading, or just start from the beginning with a pencil. So then you'll end up with a three-dimensional pencil drawing with shading. Thanks and have a great day.